Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another special edition of the forgetting the name of my own podcast. Welcome to the J. I am your host, Jahenns Manigat, aka 12. This is season 2. This is guest number 11 that we have coming up this year. But before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe to the Field of 68 Media Network, where you can get content such as this, different individuals representing their alma maters, just like I am doing today. Our guest today is a current member of the San Antonio Spurs. He is a legendary Creightonian. He just joined the 30 club. This is Mr. 3000 himself. You all know who it is. Douglas Richard McDermott. Welcome to the J, brother.
Thanks, Jay. Feels good to be back, brother. I like what you've done with the room, man. I like the banner in the back.
I'm trying the big banner. We're Valley boys at heart, so I always try to represent as much as I possibly can. I mentioned it just now. First of all, happy birthday. This was a weird birthday week for you. How did you celebrate, and what did you have to do on this wonderful 30th birthday of yours, this milestone birthday of yours?
Man, it's crazy. I'm actually I'm in a Detroit hotel room. I've been here for this is day 5. So I rang in the new year and celebrated the birthday in this room. So lot going on. Great start to the year, great start to the 30s. It feels like yesterday we were just celebrating 20, 21, drinking our absolute vodka and eating McDonald's. So we've come a long ways.
Isn't it insane how time flies? Like, it literally feels like we're just like about to move into Kennefic and all that stuff. Every time I see you, I think about all those times. But I mean, we're 30 now, man. Like, we're grown. We have grown decisions to make. We have like bills we have to pay and all that stuff. We had no worries about those back then, right?
Yeah, exactly. We had moms taking care of it back then, doing our laundry and coming to clean our place.
Meatloaf to look forward to.
Exactly. But she still does that for me. I'm not letting that go in my 30s.
Yeah, you better not. I wouldn't do it if I was in your shoes either. We got to talk about it. The boys, big time double OT win against Marquette the other day. Alex O'Connell hits a crazy shot to send it to second overtime. And then they show a little bit of moxie, a little bit of poise in that second overtime. I think they held Marquette scoreless. What impressed you about, the end of that game, especially, obviously, and how the boys were able to pull it off in a tough road environment?
Yeah, I think just showed a lot of growth. Obviously we have a very young team right now. Obviously it's nice having a guy like Ryan Hawkins on the team who brings that veteran presence. But just an unbelievable shot by Alex. And, we all know Marquette's a tough place to play. And, these guys, they're getting better every day. Obviously they were a little rusty coming out of that time off. But I thought overall they looked really good against Marquette. And, sometimes you just got to get lucky. We know Marquette did it to us at our place. So I think we kind of owed them a crazy shot like that, and huge shot by Alex.
I was gonna say, I know Coach Mack, as he saw that shot go up, somebody zoomed into that little dance that he did to will that shot in. I know Coach Mack was certainly relieved, that we finally got one back against Marquette after a couple of years ago. Like you mentioned, they had that crazy buzzer beater at our place in Omaha.
For sure. Yeah, the weight of the floor in the arena changes when he puts that leg off the ground. So that probably helped the ball go in.
We had Matt DeMarinas on the show last week, and I asked him if we were on the verge of watching Ryan Kalkbrenner really come into his own. We know what he does defensively, but offensively, the last couple of games, he's really picked up the slack. He answers the call, 20 points, 12 rebounds. You played on the under-19 Team USA team, and you had a lot of pressure to perform coming into that sophomore year. He kind of did the same thing this past summer, playing for the under-19 team, and a lot of expectations were placed on his shoulders. Are you seeing him really come into his own like we had predicted a week ago?
Yeah, for sure. I think just what he does around the rim alters every shot. He might not block every shot, but when you have a guy that's 7'1" in there, just around the rim, it forces you to throw floaters up or kind of second guess how you're going to finish. And that's been huge for us, because then if you can have a guy like that, it starts our fast break, and we like to run, obviously. So I think having him's been huge. His confidence is great. He's hitting free throws. And I think that USA deal, like you said, like it did for me, I think it just brought a whole different confidence level going into the season. And you're starting to see that with him, with with the way he's finishing and the way he's playing on defense.
You mentioned Ryan Hawkins as a steady leader for the team, for such a young team. He just kind of plugs himself in, and immediately you see the impact that he has. I've been one of the people who has kind of compared him to you, just the way that he gets his shots up, the way that, he has that little push floater in the paint, his footwork when he has back down opportunities against small defenders. Am I reaching when I'm comparing you two, or do you see something like a little bit of your younger self there too?
I definitely do, and I think he just plays at his own pace. I think that's what separates him compared to a lot of these younger guys on the floor. You can tell he has the experience. He never gets sped up, and what I like about him is he just it doesn't matter if he's missed 3 or 4 threes in a row. He just keeps firing, kind of like Rodney did, like all of us did. So he would have fit in great. He would have fit in great on our team, and obviously see a lot of similarities to each other. And he's just been fun to watch. I think his leadership skills are probably what's helped this team the most. Based on what I've talked to with the coaches, he's just huge in the locker room, and we're going to need that going forward, obviously.
How relieved is Coach Mack after this win? I know obviously you guys still talk on a daily basis. What do you think was going through him as he saw the final buzzer go down after that second overtime, realizing that he just pulled off that win on the road?
Yeah, I texted him, kind of give him shit like after the game, and he just said, "Never a doubt, never a doubt." That's just how we drew it up. I was obviously stuck in this hotel room, so I can critique everything. But when we're up 17-15, in the second half, you're feeling good, and obviously Marquette made that run, and but just unbelievable shot. Obviously having a guy like Alex who just has the swagger and confidence to take that shot is huge.
That is the one thing that the Jays have been lacking a little bit this year, is that consistency, right? We've seen him go into some big leagues like this past game and against Nebraska, and that lead slowly dwindles down and the other team's able to get back into the game. We've seen him lead from start to finish, like they did against BYU and against Villanova. And then we've seen him have some questionable losses like against Arizona State. You, who have already obviously been in their shoes before, what kind of advice would you give like this young team who's still trying to come into its own and trying to figure, what kind of team they're actually really going to be when it's all said and done? What kind of advice would you give to this team?
Yeah. After watching them and, playing for a long time, when you have those 15-point leads, when you have those 17-point leads, each possession becomes more important. I think when you have that lead, you don't want to come down and, throw up a crazy one or force a bad pass. I think when you're at that range, I think you got to kind of slow yourself down and make good decisions. And I think if one bad shot can lead to a three for them or a lob for them in transition. So I think you just got to step on them when you have that lead. And, I just, Coach Pop talks about it all the time in the NBA. One bad play can change the whole momentum of the game. And I think that's what you see sometimes with a young group like our Creighton team. And I think they're learning every day, and I think they're going to become much better at it as we go on.
Before we move on to our next topic, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up yet with Bet Rivers, now's the time, because they're offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call telephone number 1-800-GAMBLER. We've seen, what has happened in the NBA with the health and safety protocol. I mean, it's undeniable. Every team has had to go through it. Teams are calling up everybody from, their G League affiliates or, signing a whole bunch of different guys to 10-day contracts to kind of fill the rosters as we're all going through this trying time, honestly. What has that been like? Obviously, you are now a little bit of a victim of that, but what has that been like for like the entire league to go through this process as they are this year?
It's been crazy, man. But obviously, I think it's in some ways it's good. It gives a lot of guys opportunities that normally probably wouldn't have it. So, obviously it sucks being isolated and when I'm not feeling even too many symptoms at all, but it gives a guy like Jalen Morris an opportunity to come from the G League, and show what he's all about. And, a lot of Grant Gibbs's players, obviously, he's kind of in limbo right now because their season's paused because so many of his players have gotten called up. So I just think it's obviously bad with the COVID, and we wish it wasn't here, and we wish people were feeling better. But at the same time, it's given a lot of guys some opportunities to just kind of prove themselves on the NBA level, and so that's been the one bright spot about it.
We've got an interesting question from old gym legend on Twitter, and he wants to know, Doug, why haven't you worn the number 3 in more, NBA teams as you did in college? You only wore it once in Chicago, if I remember correctly. Then Dwayne Wade came, and that was a whole other thing. Moved to New York, Dallas, Indiana, right? OKC.
Yeah.
Why haven't you worn number 3 more often?
It's been taken, man, everywhere I've gone. So I've always tried to get back to it. Chicago got taken from D Wade, obviously, rightfully so. And then I get traded to OKC, and Sabonis actually had it at the time, so I wasn't going to take it from him. And then I go to, where was I? New York. Tim Hardaway had it, and then I go to Dallas, and Nerlens had it, and then Aaron Holiday. Then Aaron Holiday already had it in Indy. So it's just like, man, I can't get back to it. And when I got to the Spurs, same thing. Keldon Johnson already had it. So I'm not the type of guy that's going to come in and demand it. Like obviously I would like to have it, but if someone already is using it, it's just kind of tough and awkward. So I've just been rolling with some random numbers, and they've worked out so far.
What has been your favorite number to play in? Because you're in 17 now. We've seen you in 20. What has been the number that, I guess, aside from number 3, has meant the most to you?
Yeah, 3 is obviously the one, but if I were to say in the NBA, probably 20. I really liked it. Obviously, I went through a lot wearing that number, traded a few times, and probably played my best basketball with Indiana with it. So that's probably the one. But I think 17's got a lot of upside here, and I'm actually really liking it.
When you were on the podcast last year, you're obviously a Pacer in Indiana. You're now a Spur in San Antonio. What has that transition been like from Indiana to Texas?
The weather's been a lot better, that's for sure. We are
tax-free state too, I guess.
Tax-free. You can get a little bit more house down there, and I think it's 80 degrees on Christmas Day, so played some golf on Christmas Day, which is very rare. And
nice.
The transition's been really good though. It's a great place to live. Obviously, we had some nightmares there in college in San Antonio, but it's really redeemed itself. That's for sure.
That's the number one thing. When I saw you were signing with the Spurs, I'm like, damn, his home arena is where basically our college career ended. Was that weird? Like the first time stepping back into it? Obviously, you've been back as a visiting player, but like now that you know that it's your home arena, is it still like a little weird to have those kind of memories?
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes I think about it, but I try not to go over to that visitors locker room where we were. I just try to stay on our side and pretend I'm. I mean, obviously Baylor didn't miss a shot coming out of that home locker room, so try to stay as hot as I can in that building. It's been good so far, and I really like the fans. They're awesome down here.
We've got another question from a Twitter follower. Blue Jays fan is trying to corner you here. His question is, who's the better coach, Mack or Pop?
Ooh, that's tough.
Ooh.
That's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Pop right now. I have to. He's paying me, so they're both obviously bring great qualities, but Pop's one of the all-time greats, so I have to go with him.
What are the odds that Coach Mack is going to hear you answer that? I feel like people are going to like now screenshot this and like send it over to him, tag him in it and all that stuff. But you're going with Pop on this one?
Yeah, he'll understand.
We got these new NIL rules in college that has really changed the game. These kids are now able to be paid off their likeness. We've seen like different sponsorships and stuff like that kind of pop up as kids are promoting themselves more and more and able to make a little bit of money while they're still in college, while they still have that popularity. We know that during the summer between your junior and senior year, you were really debating leaving for the NBA. Ultimately, you decided to come back. Thank God, all of us are obviously very happy about that. If these current NIL rules were in place back then, would it have been an easier decision for you to come back?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly though, it really wasn't about the money for me. I think I just wanted to pursue the dream, and I think the NIL rules have definitely changed things. And I, could have had some deals obviously my senior year along with you guys, but I think the NBA rules have really changed too. I think it would have made my decision a lot easier because I would have been able to test the waters and maybe do a few workouts
Yeah, that's right.
before I
Yeah.
decide I want to come back. So I was kind of put in a tough spot because I had to kind of decide on the fly and wasn't really able to, go to the combine and come back. So that's why it kind of took me a while to make the decision because I had to work through all that stuff and get feedback from teams, and obviously came to the conclusion that it'd be better to come back, and it all worked out. So I can't really complain.
Do you remember all those "Teach Me How to Dougie" shirts that was going all around Omaha when obviously that song was at the height of its popularity? And I think it was like near the end of our freshman year, where literally anywhere in the student section, someone was wearing a "Teach Me How to Dougie" shirt. Did that make you feel some type of way a little bit back then that like, man, like I can't even get any money off of this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously back in the day, we weren't really thinking about it too much. Now it's like,
Yeah.
We should be making money off that. But
Right.
obviously it was just more, I guess it was cool to see. But like I said, I never really was in it for the money. It would have been nice to like for all of us to get money on our team, instead of, you know, going to the dining halls every night. We could have been eating nice out in West Omaha. That would have been some good perks. Get a deal with the restaurant. But I think this NIL deal is great for these kids. Obviously, they're all making some good money now, and um, I think Creighton's in a great spot to go to with the NIL. I think it's really going to help recruiting because we have a lot of very supportive people in Omaha. A lot of great businesses, a lot of people that are willing to help. So I think it's only going to help the future of the program.
We went through a lot together during our Creighton careers. Obviously, there's some great memories that we have and that we all share, but you mentioned losing to Baylor to end our career already. We already talked about that a little bit. What are some other like low points that like you don't care too much about, but that every once in a while just like sticks at your craw that just randomly comes back into your memory?
The one that comes back into mind is when we kind of got off to a slow start our senior year and losing at I think it was the the one out in Anaheim when we lost
In
to,
Anaheim, yeah.
yeah, we lost to George Mason. That one still kind of bothers me a little bit just because it just felt like, we all were back and we had so much expectations on us. And I think it was a good that we did go through that because we ended up recovering from it well, but it felt like a pretty bad low point, 4 games into the season out there, losing to them and having to come start the Big East.
Yeah, losing to San Diego State like basically the night before too, when a couple of years before that we were at San Diego State and we had to come back from 17-point down, which really started to define, our 4-year stint together. But
yeah,
now you're right. That Anaheim trip was weird.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of Valley losses, obviously. Just our freshman year, when we lost so many close games on the road where we just couldn't really close. I remember at Missouri State, at Indiana State at Drake, we lost so many close games, and it was just frustrating because we were right there. I thought we could be a tournament team that year, but it just obviously didn't work out.
You know what's weird? Like we won a lot of road games in the Valley, but one place that we never won at, surprisingly, which I know is going to bother you, UNI. You were
Yeah,
originally committed to them, and then obviously Coach Mack comes. How weird is it that like that was the one spot that we couldn't win at?
that was weird. I mean, it was crazy. Like that one where I forgot the guard's name. Was it Anthony James?
Oh,
Is that your name?
James. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
52. Yeah.
I mean, we thought we had the game, and it just like shit like that happens. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of deserved it, I guess, by me leaving right last second, going to Creighton. But obviously, I still talk to Jake all the time. Coach Jake, he's one of my
Mhm.
favorite people. And I just wish them the best always, because I grew up, kind of dreaming of playing there.
We have Coach Lutz now at our A&M Corpus Christi. We have Coach DeVries, who's doing a great job over at Drake. Shout out to those guys. How impressed have you been with like some of Coach Mack's former assistants who are now leading their own program?
Yeah, it doesn't shock me at all. I think D-Rock, obviously we've known for a long time how competitive he is and how much he wants to win. And it's just crazy seeing Tucker, being on his team.
Insane. Anywhere's number 12. I'm so happy.
Yeah, and that's definitely after you. He grew up loving you, and it's just crazy to see. And I'm so happy for those guys. And obviously Lutz is just down the road from me in San Antonio, so he's a couple hours, and they play in a conference with Incarnate Word, who I live right by their campus. So I'm going to try to make it to a few of their games. I just knew those guys would do a good job. Sellers is actually a head coach too out in Connecticut, so I try and follow them.
That's right, Central Connecticut State, right? Yeah.
Yep. And I think I think they got more guys on their staff that I think could do a good job as well. So just really happy for all those guys.
What is it about Coach Mack that he's able to find those guys and then kind of like obviously not only foster relationships with them, but also build them up so that when it's their time, when they're ready to leave, they can go ahead and be a head coach at different programs as well?
Yeah, I think those guys just learned so much from Mack, just his philosophies, his offensive stuff, and just playing with the pace. And I think those guys have obviously had experience under, D-Rock with Altman and Lutz with Matt Painter. So those guys, those guys just they learn from the right people, and I think you're seeing why they've been so successful, because they've learned from a lot of really good coaches.
What about you? Do you see coaching being something that you'll like to get into down the line when it's all said and done, or do you think your basketball will end once your playing career is over?
It's tough. I definitely want to break from it here when I'm done, just like maybe a year or two, just to figure out what I want to do. But if one of you guys, you or Grant or not Ethan, if you or Grant, not Ethan. If you or Grant become a head coach, I'll gladly be be on the staff. I'll be the ops guy.
Well, hey, I'm curious. Why not Ethan, though?
Well, I thought about Ethan, and then I immediately thought, he's in Denver. He's already got his job, and I'm not even sure he wants to touch a basketball or be around one ever again. So, with all the injuries he had to go through, but Ethan could be a good assistant ops guy, behind me, and you or Grant be the head coach, and we'll have a good little staff.
Well, we'll let Grant be the head coach. We'll just round up the staff. Me, you, and Ethan just bring the boys back. How about that?
You got Canada territory. You get to recruit Canada.
I got a little pipeline.
Yeah, I'll recruit Iowa and the Midwest, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we got it. Basically, between the four of us, we'll be able to get everybody that we need anyway. So it'll be all good. You've had some pretty good games this year. What was one of the best games that you've played? Where and what was it like? I know you play so many games that like sometimes like you kind of lose sight of where you are in the season, but like every once in a while there's a game that sticks out to you. Has there been a game like that for you this year?
I would say recently at the Lakers, we beat the Lakers at the Staples Center. We actually beat the Clippers a couple nights before that too, and I think just beating the Lakers, it was actually the last game at Staples Center before they switched the name.
They changed the name.
It was just a crazy atmosphere in there, and I came out hot, and we got the win against obviously LeBron and Russ. So that one sticks out the most so far. There's been a few others that have been fun too, but I've just been such in and out of the lineup with this COVID stuff, and I had a little knee bruise earlier in the year and some illnesses. So I'm so ready to get back in the rhythm of just playing. And we have the MSG in Brooklyn coming up, so hopefully I can be a part of those.
You obviously were Russ's teammate in OKC. He's probably, maybe I'm trying to think about who else you've been teammates with, but a former MVP, Mr. Triple Double, probably like your most well-known former teammate. is it weird to like go back and face off against these guys in all these different jerseys a couple of years down the line? Because there used to be a point in the NBA where the superstar players kind of stayed on one team and they just kept building around them. But now you're seeing all these superstar players just change pretty much every other season. So is it kind of weird to see like Russ in a Rockets jersey, then in a Wizards jersey, and then now in an LA Lakers jersey? Is that kind of weird for you?
Yeah, it really is. Because for a while I thought I was the only one getting traded and moving teams, but now it's everyone. Now it's basically the whole league. So it is weird. Obviously seeing Russ and LeBron out there together, two freak athletes. But it's been cool too, because you just, every year some new team's going to be good because a superstar goes there. So you see that with the Bulls, this year with DeRozan and just adding those new pieces there, and they're first in the East, and it's been pretty fun to watch. And obviously every night out I'm going to see a former teammate, because we all switch teams so much.
Right. We're recording this pre-Villanova game. So if you guys watch this after Villanova game, don't get too lost in the commentary. But we do have to talk about this. The last time that the Jays played Nova, obviously at home, they controlled the game from start to finish. Now they're going to have to go at Philly in a very, very tough environment, one that's very difficult to win in. You and I had success there, obviously. But what's it going to take for these Jays to, go over there and come out with a win?
Yeah, I wish this game was at the Wells Fargo Center. That's for sure. We we tend to have better luck there, but I think the key is obviously just our point guard, Nembhard against Colin Gillespie. I think Ryan has showed all year how mature he is and poised, and he's freshman of the week every single week, so we know what kind of player we have with him. And just going up against a savvy vet like Gillespie, I think that's kind of the key tonight, is just being disciplined, staying down on their shot fakes, as we know, and just not getting too down if they go on a 8-0 run. Just trying to keep our poise and just continue to play our game and just play at our own pace. I think those are the keys going into the Nova game.
Arthur Kaluma is like one of the most highly touted recruits that we've had, but he's kind of gone off to a slow start. I don't think he's played his best basketball, not even anything close to that. There's ups and downs, obviously, to any freshman season. But what would you say to him for him to just keep his confidence going, because he will become an integral part of what the Jays do and the success that the Jays have?
Yeah, you can just see the upside Arthur has. He's so talented, and I think obviously sometimes the game just feels a little fast out there for freshmen. And I talk to NBA people all the time, and they said he's one of the best prospects on our team, and he could be a really good NBA prospect going forward. So he's talented enough. We all see the flashes, but it's just tough being thrown in the mix as a freshman, and especially against really good teams in the Big East, and they're going to game plan you. And I'm really excited for his future, though. I think he's going to figure it out. The coaches are trying to put him in the best situations possible, and I just think we need to play through him a little more. He needs to be aggressive at all times and not worry about the consequences. And I think that's what you're seeing with Ryan Nembhard and these other guys. And I think Trey, same thing. He's going to be a hell of a player as well. You can just see his potential growing before our eyes. So I'm just really excited for the future of these guys.
I've been telling everybody on the podcast and all the listeners out there that we need to exercise patience with this year's team, because they are young, because they're still trying to bring it all together. But every once in a while, we see flashes of how great they can be, and it really gets us excited about the future. What's your take on this year's team, and how far they could take it this year? And then obviously, like, looking down the line, if they decide to stay together, how good can this team be in a year or two, a little bit later down the line?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs with this group, not just in the games, but just throughout the season. We could lose a game at home that is surprising to, the Arizona State one. It's just going to be a lot of growing pains with this group, which I think the staff's reiterated. And but you see the flashes there. You see the guys that we have. We're still so young. I think even some of our other freshmen that aren't playing, John Christopoulos and guys like that, Mason Miller, these guys that are waiting for their opportunity. They're phenomenal shooters, and I just think the future is so bright. This hopefully we can keep this group together for a while, because I think just the potential, and with Nemhard leading the charge, the sky's the limit, honestly.
That's always the toughest part, is to keep a group together, especially in this day and age with, so many transfers. The Jays lost their basically starting 5 plus first man off the bench last year. They regrouped with this really, really good recruiting class that Mack brought in. But then you got a guy like maybe Christian Bishop who could have stayed with this group, who decides to leave. We don't want it to happen, but sometimes these things play out that way. What is your whole take about like the college transfer system and how crazy it is in this day and age?
Yeah, I think everyone has the right to find a new situation without having any consequences of sitting out. I think that's been, it's good and bad. Obviously it can break up a team that's very special. I think it hurts the mid-major teams, like the Missouri Valley programs and some lower Division I that, they could have a couple really good players, but they can leave right away. It kind of tears apart that program, but you got to look at what's best for the player. You got to look at what's best for their situations and, their financial stuff now with NIL. So you have to be on board with that. And, it just, you can create some super teams for sure, because it's basically like free agency now. You can just stack a roster of the best grad transfers. And, I think it can be good for a program like Creighton too, because we are a very appealing spot to come to in Omaha, playing in front of 18,000 fans. If you have a guy that's averaging 25 at a different school and wants to come play with us, sure, we'll take it.
Bring him in.
We'll take you. Yeah, we'll take you.
We need Ballas.
Yeah, we need Marcus Fosters. We need guys like that, and I think you will see more of that to come, hopefully.
I'm not going to hold you in here too long. I appreciate the time that you took out for us. Obviously, you have so much that you could be doing right now.
Yeah, so much, bro. So much.
How many more days do you have in there, first of all?
I think just maybe a day. I think 2 at the most. So I've been ordering a bunch of like Postmates and Instacart. If anyone has any show recommendations, I could probably use them, because I've gone through pretty much everything. So it's been crazy.
We have to ask you, when you get back to Omaha, what's the first meal that you look forward to?
Oof, that is tough. That is really tough.
Mm-hmm.
First meal, I mean, other than my mom's cooking, wow. Pizza Ranch is always up there. Like going over there. That's more of a
Council Bluffs.
That's more of an Iowa thing.
Yeah.
Dang, man. Some of our late night spots, obviously, it was Eat the Worm still around, and Pepper Jacks and those spots.
Eat the Worm is still around. Pepper Jacks is still around. The food trucks are a little bit scarce nowadays, though, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
there's nothing like the Drover, though. I mean, the Drover is such a good vibe, and that whiskey marinade steak. It's tough to beat. How about you? What's your
my
spot?
favorite
What
too.
do you what
Drover. Big Drover guy. Like if we're gonna sit down, if it's gonna be a couple of us, big Drover guy for sure. I'm a big Qdoba guy too, so I got to get that fixed. And then I don't know. In Europe, sometimes I can get Subway. On the years that I can, for whatever reason, I crave Subway like crazy. So like that's kind of like a quick, medium, and like a big sit down thing for me. Yeah.
I would love to go to a Subway right now. I'd love to go anywhere right now.
Gotta ask you, do you remember what your toughest matchup was in college? Like individual matchup, one guy that you saw in the scouting report, you're like, damn, like I'm gonna have a long day defending this guy.
Man, they usually didn't have me defend anyone too good. That was usually your job, or who knows, it usually wasn't me. But I would say some of the guys that were always kind of tough. You remember LaDante Hinton from Providence?
Yeah, lefty.
I always kind of struggle with him just because they play that flex action, and he's a lefty, and he's just very crafty around the rim. And then individually, like Wichita with Clay Anthony and Carl Hall, those guys who were just strong and physical. Those were another 2 guys that really stuck out. And then there's a couple guys on Drake that were just so physical defending me. That was always tough, just to get going against. But not too many others.
And then same question, but this time in the league. What's a matchup that you're like, whew, long night coming up?
Oh man, it's not even really. It's usually the guys that are just so like such a good handle, like that can score, like a guy like Malik Monk, guys that like can dance with it, and just Will Barton, same way, they're so crafty at getting to their spots, and usually like wings that I'm switched on to like that. Obviously, you never want to get switched on to Russ or Giannis or any of those guys.
Yeah.
But just more the guys that I'm guarding, like the Malik Monks, the Will Bartons, just very crafty, strong guys like that can get to the rim. It's tough. The Jamal Crawfords.
Yeah. I think that really shows like the range of like the type of guys that are in the NBA, because like I listen to a whole bunch of different podcasts. One of my favorite ones is the Knucklehead podcast with Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson. That's one of the questions that they ask all their guests is who has been like a toughest matchup. They phrase it as who busts your ass for the first time in the league. And like some of the answers are like so surprising. Like I think I remember Kyrie Irving said like Jose Calderon. Like it's never like you would think like a superstar, but it's like everybody is so good that if you, for whatever reason, God bless you, you don't take him as seriously as you should, they're good to go for like 40 on your head. Like everybody's that good, right?
Any given night, someone can snap. So it's pretty crazy. And with all the switching that goes on, you're switched on to a lot of different guys each night. And, I think guarding shooters is kind of hard too. I mean, I know you guarded a ton in college and probably still do, but like just chasing guys off pin downs all game, you have no energy on the offensive end because, you're running around with Duncan Robinson and Buddy Hield and, guys like that want to shoot 15 threes a game. It's tough, and you can't give them an ounce of space or they're going to hit it. So I've learned that those guys are almost harder to guard than the guys that you have to guard one-on-one.
Trust me, the Colt Ryans of the world and the Ben Simons of the world. Like I don't want to see it. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm running drivers only now.
Either does Gibbs. Gibbs doesn't want to see him either. I know that.
Right. Man, I appreciate you so much, dude. I love you so much. I appreciate your time. Obviously, if you feel bad, get better. If not, can't wait to see you on the court again. I'm staying up until the 4 a.m. to watch the Spurs play anytime that I can. So make sure you get back on the court and, get back right the way you're meant to.
Thanks, brother. I love you. And thanks for that surprising birthday video. We really appreciate it. Let's get a Jays win tonight. You never know. Crazier things have happened. Let's get a dub in Philly.
Let's get it done. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Field at 68 Media Network. I am Jahenns Manigat. I am your host. This was Doug McDermott. Thank you so much, Doug. As always, stay safe and go Jays.
Go Jays.